The alien princess pointed to the youngest human warrior and said, "He will be mine." In the distance, tall, sleek ships of the Elithar Empire hovered, firing beams that cut through stone and metal. Every human soldier knew this battle was dangerous, but no one had expected it to be like this. Ethan Cole ran through the rubble, his heart pounding. He was the youngest soldier in his unit, barely 19, and yet here he was in the middle of a battlefield bigger than anything he had imagined. His hands shook as he held his rifle, and dust covered his clothes. Around him, people screamed and fell. But Ethan kept running because he knew that stopping was death. He had been fighting for hours, but exhaustion did not stop him. He ducked behind a broken wall and saw a group of Elithar soldiers approaching. They were taller than humans with gray skin and eyes that glowed faintly. Their weapons were strange and deadly. Ethan swallowed hard. He knew he could not fight all of them alone. Then he heard a cry. It was different from the shouting and explosions. A voice, high and sharp, full of fear but also strength. Ethan turned his head and saw her. She was fighting alone, surrounded by at least 10 Elithar soldiers. She was tall, stronger than any human he had ever seen, with shining armor that seemed almost alive. Her hair was silver and floated around her face as she moved. She was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. He had heard stories of the Elithar princess, Lena Hart. She was known as the warrior princess of their empire, unmatched in skill and feared by many. And yet here she was on the battlefield, fighting desperately. Ethan did not think. Something inside him pushed him forward. He raised his rifle and fired at the closest Elithar soldier. The shot hit and the soldier staggered, then another and another. His hands were shaking, but he kept aiming. The Elithar soldiers noticed him and turned toward him. They shouted, their voices strange and harsh. But Ethan ran toward Lena. He threw himself into the fight using every skill he had learned in training. His small size made him quick, and he dodged their blows. Each shot, each move was filled with hope and fear. Finally, Lena had a chance to leap to safety, but an enemy aimed directly at her. Ethan threw himself in front of the shot. Pain exploded in his shoulder, but he did not fall. He pulled Lena away, rolling to the side. She looked at him with wide eyes, her silver hair falling over her face. You saved me?" she asked, her voice soft but filled with authority. Ethan shook his head, still catching his breath. I couldn't let them." He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. Lena stood up and drew her blade. It glowed with a strange blue light. She moved with grace, cutting through the remaining soldiers with skill and speed that left Ethan stunned. He had never seen anyone fight like this. When the last soldier fell, Lena turned to him. She looked at him fully, studying him as if seeing him for the first time. Then she did something that shocked everyone around them. She pointed at Ethan. Her silver armor glimmered in the smoke and fire. Her voice rang out across the battlefield, clear and commanding. "He will be mine," she said. For a moment there was silence. The humans froze, unsure what to do. The Elithar soldiers stopped, shocked that their princess had said such words. Ethan froze. He stared at her, confused, his heart racing. "Mine?" he asked quietly, stepping back. Lena's eyes did not leave him. "Yes, he is mine." Ethan did not understand. He was just a soldier, young and inexperienced. Why would a powerful alien princess choose him? But something in her eyes made him believe she meant it. Before he could say anything more, the Elithar soldiers around them began to regroup. Lena grabbed his hand and pulled him forward. "Come with me," she said. "Now." Ethan hesitated. Every part of him screamed to run, to hide, to survive, but he trusted her somehow. He ran beside her as they moved across the battlefield, dodging explosions and enemy fire. His small body ached, his lungs burned, but he did not stop. Lena was like a whirlwind, moving through the chaos with ease, and he followed her lead. They reached a ruined building and ducked inside. The walls shook as explosions hit nearby. Lena leaned against the wall, her chest rising and falling as she caught her breath. Ethan sank to the floor, trembling from adrenaline and fear. "You're amazing," he said finally. Lena smiled faintly. "You are brave," she said. "Few humans would risk their life for me." Ethan shook his head. "I didn't think about it. I couldn't let them." He stopped, realizing words were not enough to explain. Lena nodded. She looked at him for a long time, her eyes serious. "You are different," she said, "and that is why I chose you." Ethan's mind raced. Chosen by a princess, he was just a boy from Earth, from a world that seemed small and weak compared to this. How could she choose him? Outside, the sounds of battle continued. Explosions rocked the city, and the sky was full of fire and smoke. Ethan felt small and unimportant, but Lena's words gave him a strange strength. Somehow, he knew that his life had changed forever. After a moment, Lena took his hand again. "We have to leave," she said. "They will come after us. You will stay with me, and you will learn what it means to fight, to survive, and to be more than you ever thought possible." Ethan nodded, though he barely understood what she meant. He trusted her. He had no choice. Together, they slipped out of the ruined building and moved toward a hidden exit. Lena's presence was powerful, her movements precise. Ethan followed, learning quickly how to move in sync with her. As they ran, he noticed other humans hiding, watching them. Some looked at him with fear, others with admiration. He felt a strange pride mixed with terror. He was just a boy, yet here he was, chosen by an alien princess in the middle of a war that spanned planets. They reached a cliff overlooking the city. Below, the battlefield stretched for miles. Lena stopped and looked at Ethan. "This is only the beginning," she said. "The battle is not over and your journey has just started, but you have already proven yourself." Ethan swallowed hard. He wanted to ask her what she meant by mine, but he did not. Somehow he felt it would be answered in time. Lena reached into her armor and handed him a small device. "This will protect you," she said, "and it will help you survive, learn quickly. The world you knew is gone." Ethan took it, feeling its weight in his hand. It was cold and strange, but it pulsed with energy. He looked at Lena, who was already scanning the horizon, her eyes sharp and focused. "Ready?" she asked. Ethan nodded, feeling a mixture of fear and excitement. "Ready." Together they leapt from the cliff, disappearing into the smoke and fire below. The humans watching them felt a spark of hope. If a human could survive alongside the Elithar princess, perhaps they were not as weak as everyone thought. For Ethan, the leap was terrifying, but as he fell, he felt a strange sense of purpose. He was no longer just a boy. He was chosen. He had a destiny he did not yet understand. And beside him was Lena Hart, the warrior princess who had pointed to him in front of the battlefield and claimed him as hers. As they landed safely on the other side, Ethan looked at her. "Why me?" he asked quietly. Lena smiled faintly, her eyes glowing in the dim light. "Because you have a heart that does not break under fire, and that is what makes you strong. The universe needs humans like you, Ethan Cole. You will see." Ethan felt a shiver run through him. He did not know what lay ahead, but for the first time he felt that he belonged somewhere, that he mattered. The city behind them burned, and the battle raged on, but Ethan knew one thing for certain. His life had changed forever. The alien princess had chosen him. And whatever came next, he would not run. He took a deep breath, tightened his grip on the device Lena had given him, and followed her into the unknown. Ethan followed Lena through narrow streets and broken alleys. The battlefield behind them still raged with fire and noise, but here, near the edge of the city, the sounds became distant. Lena moved quickly and silently, her boots making almost no sound. Ethan tried to keep up. His legs ached, and his chest burned from running, but he did not complain. He knew this was only the beginning. After a few minutes, they reached a large gate hidden behind rubble. Lena pressed a hand against a strange, glowing symbol, and the gate opened silently. Ethan had never seen anything like it. Inside, the air felt different, calmer, and cooler. Strange plants grew along the walls, glowing faintly in blue and green. The floor seemed alive, pulsing softly under their feet. "This is my home," Lena said, glancing at him. "The palace of the Elithar. Few humans have ever seen it. You must be careful." Ethan looked around in awe. The walls were smooth, shining, and seemed to shift slightly like they were breathing. Lights floated in the air, showing paths and hallways. In the distance, he could see Elithar soldiers moving with precision, practicing combat drills or repairing strange machines. "You live here?" Ethan asked, his voice trembling. Lena smiled faintly. "Yes, this is where I train, plan battles, and protect my people." "You will live here too, for your safety and your training." Ethan swallowed hard. He was still just a boy from Earth. He had never imagined a place like this, but he nodded, trusting her. He had no choice. Lena led him to a large room filled with light. In the center was a pool of glowing water. Ethan looked at it curiously. Lena gestured for him to step closer. "This water helps you recover," she explained. "It will heal small injuries and restore your strength faster than normal, but it is not magic. It is science you will learn later." Ethan stepped into the pool. The water was warm, almost soothing. He felt the pain in his shoulder from the battlefield fade slightly. It was a relief he did not expect. Lena stepped in after him, watching carefully. "You are strong, Ethan," she said softly. "Stronger than most humans, but you must learn quickly. The galaxy is full of dangers you cannot yet imagine." Ethan looked at her, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. He wanted to ask questions, but he did not know where to start. So he stayed quiet, letting her lead. After a while, Lena led him to a training room. The floor was soft, almost like sand, but it glowed faintly. Weapons of all shapes and sizes floated in the air, waiting for someone to pick them up. Lena held out her hand, and a glowing blade appeared. Ethan's eyes widened. "This is a weapon of the Elithar," Lena explained. "It responds to your energy. You must learn to control your body and mind to use it effectively. I will train you." Ethan nodded. He had trained with weapons on Earth, but nothing like this. He took a deep breath and picked up the blade. It felt heavy but also alive. He swung it, and the air around it shimmered. Lena nodded approvingly. "You have potential," she said, "but potential is not enough. You must learn discipline, focus, and courage. You must learn to fight not just with your body, but with your mind." For hours, Lena trained him. She corrected his stance, taught him how to move silently and how to anticipate attacks. Ethan fell many times, his body aching, but he never gave up. Lena's eyes watched him carefully, noticing every movement, every hesitation, every small improvement. "You learn quickly," she said after a while, "faster than I expected." Ethan smiled, though he was exhausted. I want to be ready, I want to help, I want to survive." Lena's smile was faint but approving. "That is why I chose you. Most humans would have run, would have hidden, or would have given up. You did not. That courage is rare." After the training, Lena led him to a room where other humans were staying. They were soldiers who had survived battles on Zarian. Some looked at Ethan with curiosity, others with suspicion. None of them had been chosen by the princess. "Do not worry," Lena said. "They will accept you in time. For now, focus on your training." Ethan nodded. He felt strange among the humans. They were bigger, older, stronger, and yet he felt different, special, chosen. He did not understand it fully, but he felt proud. Days passed quickly. Lena trained him in combat, strategy, and survival. She taught him about the Elithar Empire, its people, and the dangers they faced. Ethan learned quickly, his mind absorbing every lesson. He also learned about patience, about thinking before acting, and about the importance of courage that did not rely on strength alone. One evening, Lena brought him to a balcony overlooking the city. The sky was filled with stars, and the fires from the battlefield were distant but still visible. Ethan looked at the view in awe. "Do you understand why I chose you?" Lena asked. Ethan shook his head. "I don't, I'm just a human. There are so many of you here who are stronger and better than me." Lena turned to him, her silver hair glowing in the starlight. "Strength is not only about size or skill, it is about heart. You have a heart that does not break under fear. That is rare in humans. That is why I chose you. That is why you will survive where others would fail." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. He had never been told such words before. He had always thought humans were weak, that Earth was small and unimportant, but Lena made him feel different, important. Strong, over the next days, Ethan continued his training. Lena pushed him harder each day, teaching him alien combat techniques and strategies. She also taught him about diplomacy, how to negotiate, and how to gain respect without fear. Ethan struggled at first, but he improved every day. One morning, Lena took him to a hall filled with Elithar soldiers. "You must meet them," she said. "Some will challenge you, some will test you, but do not fear, you are with me, I will protect you." Ethan stepped into the hall, his heart pounding. The soldiers were tall and intimidating. Some had scars, some had glowing tattoos that pulsed with light. All of them stared at him. "Who is this human?" one of them asked. His voice was deep and commanding. Lena stepped forward. "This is Ethan Cole. He is mine. He has proven his courage and his heart. He will train with us and fight alongside us." The soldiers murmured among themselves. Some looked skeptical, some laughed softly. Ethan felt nervous, but he stood tall. He remembered Lena's words, heart. Courage, strength was more than size. "Very well," the leader said finally. "We will see if he is worthy." The first challenge came quickly. A soldier named Cale Thorne stepped forward, his eyes sharp and proud. He was much bigger than Ethan, with muscles that seemed to ripple with every movement. Cale swung his weapon, a long spear, toward Ethan. Ethan dodged, barely. His training with Lena had taught him speed and precision. He moved quickly, keeping Cale off balance. He did not attack recklessly. Instead, he used his mind, predicting Kale's movements and striking at the right moment. The hall watched in silence as the young human danced around the larger, stronger soldier. Finally, with a clever move, Ethan disarmed Kale and stood ready. The hall erupted in whispers. The humans and some soldiers were shocked. The Elithar soldiers, used to seeing humans fail, looked at him with surprise. Lena stepped forward, her eyes proud. "He has heart," she said, "and that is more important than strength." Kale bowed his head slightly. "He is skilled," he admitted. Perhaps the princess was right. Ethan felt a mixture of relief and pride. He was still small, still human, but he had proved himself. And he knew that with Lena's guidance, he could become more than anyone expected. That night, Ethan sat with Lena in the training hall. The moonlight streamed through the windows, and he felt both tired and alive. "You did well today," Lena said softly. "You are learning faster than I imagined, but remember, this is only the beginning. Many will not accept you, many will try to challenge you, but you have me, and I will not let anyone harm you." Ethan looked at her. I don't understand why you care so much about me." Lena's eyes softened. "Because you are different. Because you have the heart that can change the fate of more than one world. And because I chose you. That choice cannot be undone." Ethan felt a strange mix of fear, excitement, and pride. He was just a human, small and young, but he was no longer ordinary. He was chosen by the alien princess, and with that choice his life had changed forever. The days passed quickly in the Elithar palace. Ethan continued to train with Lena every morning, learning new combat techniques and practicing his skills until his muscles ached. Each day he grew stronger and faster, but more importantly, he learned to think like a warrior, to anticipate attacks, and to use his mind as well as his body. Lena pushed him harder than anyone had ever pushed him before, and he welcomed it. The other Elithar soldiers watched him with curiosity and suspicion. Some still whispered behind his back, mocking him for being human and small. But a few began to see his determination, the way he never gave up, and the way he stood tall despite their size and strength. Ethan noticed them too, but he focused on his training and on pleasing Lena. One morning, Lena called him to the main hall. "Today, you will face another challenge," she said. "This will not only test your skills, but also your mind. You must prove that you can survive under pressure." Ethan felt a knot in his stomach. He had faced challenges before, but Lena's challenges were different. They were not only about fighting, they were about understanding, strategy, and courage. In the hall, a group of Elithar soldiers had gathered. One of them, a tall and muscular man with glowing blue tattoos, stepped forward. His name was Kale Thorne. Ethan had already faced him once, but this time the challenge was more serious. Kale's eyes narrowed. "So the human thinks he is ready," he said. "We shall see if the princess was mistaken." Ethan took a deep breath. He remembered Lena's words: heart, courage, determination. "I'm ready," he said quietly. The battle began. Kale attacked first, swinging his long spear with speed and strength. Ethan dodged, moving as he had learned, keeping his distance and watching Kale's movements. The soldiers in the hall whispered and watched closely. Many expected him to fail, but Ethan did not fail. He moved quickly, striking when the opening came. He used his size to his advantage, slipping past Kale's attacks and landing small but precise blows. Kale growled, frustrated by the human's speed and cleverness. Finally, after a tense series of attacks and dodges, Ethan managed to disarm Kale again. The hall fell silent. Even Kale could not hide his surprise. "You are skilled," he admitted, bowing slightly. Lena stepped forward, her eyes proud. "He has heart," she said simply. "And that is what makes him strong." Ethan felt a surge of pride. He was small, human, and inexperienced, but he had proved himself. The soldiers in the hall began to nod and murmur among themselves. Some still doubted, but others began to respect him. After the challenge, Lena led Ethan to the training room. "You are improving faster than I expected," she said. "But do not be proud. You must always remember that strength alone is not enough. You must learn to lead, to think, and to inspire others." Ethan nodded. He wanted to be ready for anything, to help Lena and to survive in this world. Over the next few days, tension grew within the palace. Some soldiers did not like the human being trained by the princess. They whispered about him, called him weak, and even tried to sabotage his training. But every time they challenged him, Ethan faced them with courage. He used his mind as much as his strength, and slowly some of them began to respect him. One evening, Lena brought him to a quiet garden inside the palace. Strange, glowing plants surrounded them, and the air was cool and calm. Ethan felt at peace for the first time in days. "Ethan," Lena said softly, "you are learning quickly. But there are other things you must understand. The Elithar Empire is not just about fighting. There are politics, rivalries, and dangers that do not come from the battlefield. You must be ready for them too." Ethan looked at her. I want to help. I want to protect you and your people, but I don't know if I can." Lena smiled faintly. "You already are helping. Courage is not always about strength. Sometimes it is about standing when others run, about facing fear when everyone else is afraid. That is what you are doing." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. Lena's words made him feel stronger than any training. He was not just learning to fight, he was learning to believe in himself. The next challenge came unexpectedly. A group of Elithar soldiers, led by a proud commander named Verk, entered the training hall. Verk was tall, with a long scar across his face and eyes that burned with pride. He had heard rumors about Ethan and did not like them. "You are the human the princess chose?" Verk asked, his voice cold. "I do not understand why she would pick someone so weak." Ethan stood tall, remembering Lena's words. "I may be human, but I am not weak. I will prove myself." Verk sneered. "We shall see." The battle began. Verk attacked with his long sword, and Ethan dodged carefully. Verk's strikes were fast and deadly, but Ethan kept his distance, using strategy instead of brute strength. He observed Verk's movements, learned his patterns, and waited for the right moment. Finally, he saw an opening. Using a quick move Lena had taught him, he disarmed Verk and stood ready. The hall went silent. Verk's eyes widened in disbelief. You survived," Verk said. "Impressive." Ethan nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and pride. Lena stepped forward. "He has heart," she said, "and that is why he will survive." The other soldiers whispered among themselves. Some were beginning to accept him, others still doubted, but Ethan did not care. He had proven himself once again. Over the next weeks, Ethan continued to train, and the palace began to accept him more. He learned to fight alongside Elithar soldiers, to move with them as a team, and to lead when necessary. Lena continued to guide him, teaching him not just about combat, but about strategy, courage, and leadership. One night, Ethan stood on the balcony with Lena, looking out over the city. The fires from the battlefield were gone, replaced by the calm glow of the Elithar lights. "Ethan," Lena said softly, "you are ready for more than training now. Soon you will face challenges that will test not just your strength, but your mind, your heart, and your courage. Are you ready?" Ethan nodded. "I will do whatever it takes. I will not fail you." Lena smiled faintly. "I know you will not. That is why I chose you. You are different, Ethan. Stronger than most, not because of your body, but because of your heart." Ethan felt a new sense of determination. He had come far from the battlefield where he had first saved Lena. He was no longer just a boy from Earth. He was a warrior, chosen by the alien princess, with a heart that refused to break. The next day brought the first real test of his skills outside the palace. Lena received word that a rebel group was planning to attack a nearby settlement. She decided that Ethan was ready to fight alongside her in a real mission. Ethan felt nervous but excited. He had trained for this, but this was different. Real danger, real people at risk, and he had to prove himself again. Lena led him through the palace gates, and they mounted sleek Elithar vehicles that could hover above the ground. Ethan held on tightly as they sped through the night, the wind whipping past him. The settlement came into view, and Ethan saw smoke rising in the distance. Rebels were attacking, and the people were running for cover. Lena and Ethan moved quickly, coordinating with the Elithar soldiers. Ethan's heart pounded as he fought. He used the techniques Lena had taught him, moving quickly, striking precisely, and protecting the civilians. He saw the fear in people's eyes, and he felt a responsibility he had never felt before. During the fight, Lena was by his side, cutting down enemies and giving instructions. Ethan realized something important. He could fight and he could survive, but he could also protect others. That was what made him strong. After hours of fighting, the rebels were defeated. The settlement was safe. Ethan stood beside Lena, exhausted but proud. "You did well," Lena said softly. "You faced fear, chaos, and danger, and you did not break. That is why I chose you. You are not just a human soldier. You are a warrior, and one day you will change the fate of more than one world." Ethan looked at her, feeling a mixture of pride, fear, and hope. He had come far, but he knew the journey was just beginning. He was no longer just a boy from Earth. He was Ethan Cole, the human chosen by the alien princess. And he would not fail. The night was quiet when Ethan returned to the palace with Lena. The battle at the settlement had left him exhausted, but he felt alive in a way he had never known. The adrenaline was still in his veins, and the thought of what he had accomplished made his chest swell with pride. Lena walked beside him, her silver hair catching the faint light of the palace lamps. She did not speak, but Ethan could feel her approval in the way she walked. Back in the training hall, Lena stopped and turned to him. "You have grown stronger," she said quietly. "But strength alone will not save the Empire. There are bigger dangers coming, dangers that require courage, strategy, and heart. Are you ready for them?" Ethan nodded. "I will do whatever it takes." Lena smiled faintly. "Good, then we begin the next phase." The next morning, the palace alarm sounded. Red lights flashed, and the sound of warning sirens echoed through the corridors. Lena grabbed Ethan's arm. "A rebellion," she said. "They have begun. We must act now." Ethan's heart pounded. He had faced danger before, but this felt bigger. Lena led him to the command center, where soldiers and officers moved quickly, coordinating defenses and planning attacks. Maps of the Empire lit the walls, showing cities under threat and rebel positions. "This rebellion is stronger than we expected," Lena said. "They want to take control of the Empire, and they will not stop until they succeed. You must be ready to fight, Ethan, and you must lead." Ethan swallowed hard. He had led small groups before, but this was different. Thousands of lives were at stake. He felt the weight of responsibility, but he remembered Lena's words: heart, courage, determination. He would not fail. Lena and Ethan mounted their vehicles and flew toward the palace gates. Below, the city was alive with chaos. Fires burned and soldiers fought in the streets. Ethan could see rebels advancing, using heavy weapons and alien technology. He felt fear, but he pushed it aside. He had to focus. Lena guided him through the battle, showing him where to go and how to protect the civilians. Ethan moved quickly, directing human and Elithar soldiers, helping them coordinate their attacks. He felt a strange confidence growing inside him. He was small, human, and young, but he was making a difference. As they fought, a group of rebels attacked from the side. They were stronger than any soldiers Ethan had faced before, and they moved with deadly precision. Lena and Ethan rushed to intercept them. "You must focus," Lena shouted. "Use your mind as well as your strength." Ethan nodded. He remembered the techniques Lena had taught him. He dodged, struck, and protected others. He moved like a shadow, fast and unpredictable. The rebels were strong, but Ethan used strategy, creating openings and surprising them. During the fight, Lena was by his side, taking down enemies with her glowing blade. Ethan watched her, learning from every move she made. He realized something important. He could fight, but he could also think, plan, and protect. That combination made him powerful. After a long struggle, they managed to push back the rebels, but the battle was far from over. More soldiers were advancing, and the city was still in danger. Lena looked at Ethan. "You are ready for more," she said. "We must strike at their leader." Ethan nodded. He had no fear now, only determination. They raced toward the center of the city, where the rebel commander had set up a base. The streets were full of danger, and Ethan felt the weight of responsibility. But he also felt alive, powerful, and capable. When they reached the rebel base, Lena stopped. "This is it," she said. "You must enter with me. We cannot fail." Ethan nodded, gripping his weapon tightly. Together, they moved into the building. Inside, the rebels were waiting. The room was filled with weapons, guards, and the commander himself. He was tall, with a cruel face and eyes full of anger. "So the princess sends her human champion," he sneered. "I will enjoy defeating you." Ethan stepped forward, remembering Lena's lessons. "I will not let you win," he said firmly. The battle began. Ethan moved quickly, dodging attacks and striking when openings appeared. He worked with Lena, moving in sync, covering her back and protecting the civilians trapped in the building. The rebels were strong, but Ethan's courage and strategy made him unpredictable. At one point, the rebel commander lunged at Lena. Ethan acted without thinking. He threw himself in front of her, blocking the attack with his body. Pain exploded in his arm, but he did not fall. He struck back, using the techniques Lena had taught him, and finally the commander stumbled. Lena took the opening, moving with incredible speed and precision. She disarmed the commander and knocked him to the ground. The remaining rebels surrendered, realizing they had lost. Ethan stood beside Lena, breathing heavily. His body was sore, his muscles ached, but he felt stronger than ever. He had faced fear, chaos, and danger, and he had survived. Lena looked at him, her eyes full of pride. "You did well," she said. "You faced the impossible and did not break. That is why I chose you. You are not just a human, you are a warrior, and you are part of something greater." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. He had always thought humans were weak, that Earth was small and unimportant. But Lena made him feel different, important, strong. Over the next few days, the palace slowly recovered. The rebellion had been defeated, but the city was damaged and many people were injured. Ethan worked alongside Lena to help rebuild, protect the citizens, and train soldiers for the next battle. He was tired, but he felt alive. One evening, Ethan and Lena stood on the balcony of the palace, overlooking the city. The fires had been put out and the lights of the Elithar city shone brightly. "You have done well, Ethan," Lena said softly. "But this is only the beginning. There are still dangers ahead and you will face more challenges. Are you ready?" Ethan nodded. "I am ready," he said firmly. "I will do whatever it takes to protect you and your people." Lena smiled faintly. "I know you will. That is why I chose you. You have heart, courage, and determination. You are not like other humans. You are special." Ethan felt a new sense of purpose. He had come far from the battlefield where he had first saved Lena. He was no longer just a boy from Earth. He was a warrior, chosen by the alien princess, with a heart that refused to break. The next morning, Lena took Ethan to a quiet room in the palace. Inside, strange machines and glowing devices filled the space. Lena gestured for him to sit. "This is where we plan our next steps," she said. "You will learn about strategy, leadership, and diplomacy. You have proven yourself in battle, but now you must learn to lead, to inspire, and to think ahead. That is what will make you strong enough to face the next challenge." Ethan listened carefully, absorbing every word. He felt a mixture of fear and excitement. The lessons were difficult, but he understood their importance. He was learning to become more than a soldier. He was learning to become a leader. Days turned into weeks. Ethan trained tirelessly with Lena, learning new skills, mastering old ones, and growing stronger every day. He faced challenges from other soldiers, tested his limits in combat simulations, and learned to make quick decisions under pressure. With every lesson, he felt himself changing. He was no longer just a boy from Earth. He was Ethan Cole, a human warrior chosen by an alien princess. One night after a long day of training, Lena and Ethan sat in the palace garden. The glowing plants lit the paths, and the air was cool and calm. Ethan looked at Lena, feeling a mixture of admiration and curiosity. "Lena," he asked quietly, "why did you choose me? I'm just a human. I'm small, inexperienced. Why me?" Lena looked at him, her eyes soft but serious. "Because you have a heart that does not break under fear. You have courage, determination, and the ability to rise when others fall. That is rare in humans. That is why I chose you. And that is why you will survive where others would fail." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. He had come far from the battlefield, from the moment he had first saved her. And he realized something important. He was not just fighting for survival anymore. He was fighting for something greater. The Elithar Empire had its dangers, its enemies, and its battles. But with Lena by his side and with the courage he had discovered within himself, Ethan knew he could face anything. And he would. The morning sun rose over the Elithar palace, casting a soft glow across the city. For a moment, everything seemed calm, but Ethan knew better. The rebellion had been only the beginning. Reports had come in during the night that another enemy force was approaching, a much larger army determined to take the Elithar Empire by force. Ethan stood on the balcony, looking out at the horizon. Lena stood beside him, her silver hair catching the sunlight. The two of them were quiet for a moment, feeling the weight of what was coming. "This is it," Lena said softly. "The final battle. Everything we have fought for, everything we have trained for, comes down to today." Ethan swallowed hard. He felt fear, but he also felt a strange excitement. He was ready. He had trained, he had fought, and he had survived. He was no longer the boy from Earth who had run through the streets of Zarian in terror. He was a warrior. He was human, and he was chosen. The city stirred as soldiers prepared for the attack. Humans and Elithar moved together, checking weapons, reviewing plans, and taking positions. Ethan moved among them, helping where he could, directing soldiers with the confidence Lena had helped him build. He felt proud, but he also knew that the real test was yet to come. As the enemy approached, the ground shook with the weight of their machines. Ethan could see hundreds of ships in the sky, their weapons glinting in the sunlight. He felt fear rising, but he pushed it down. Lena placed a hand on his shoulder. "Remember what I taught you," she said. "Heart, courage, determination, you have all of these. Trust yourself, trust your people, and trust me." Ethan nodded. He took a deep breath and tightened his grip on his weapon. The battle was about to begin. The enemy force descended on the city with fire and violence. Machines moved forward, soldiers swarmed the streets, and explosions rocked buildings. Ethan and Lena leapt into action, coordinating the defenses and moving quickly to protect the citizens. Ethan's heart pounded as he fought. He moved through the chaos, dodging attacks, striking enemies, and guiding soldiers. He was small and human, but he was clever and fast. He used every lesson Lena had taught him, and for the first time he felt the full strength of his potential. Lena fought beside him, cutting through enemies with skill and precision. Together, they moved like a single force, protecting the city and striking at the enemy. Ethan realized something important. He could fight and he could survive, but he could also inspire others. The soldiers around him began to follow his lead, trusting him and moving with him as one. Hours passed. The battle raged on and the enemy seemed endless. But Ethan did not falter. He felt the courage Lena had spoken of, the determination he had built, and the heart that refused to break. He saw soldiers around him fall, but he kept moving, helping, protecting, and fighting. At one point, a massive enemy machine broke through the city defenses. Its weapons fired without mercy, destroying everything in its path. Ethan knew they had to stop it, or the city would fall. He looked at Lena and she nodded. Together, they charged at the machine. Lena struck first, cutting through its armor with her glowing blade. Ethan moved quickly, using a technique Lena had taught him to find its weak point. He climbed onto the machine, dodging sparks and energy beams, and placed a device Lena had given him on its core. "Now, Lena," he shouted. Lena struck again, and the machine exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The enemy soldiers nearby faltered, giving the city a chance to regroup. Ethan fell to the ground, breathing heavily, but he smiled. He had done it. Together, they had stopped the first wave of the attack. But the battle was not over. More forces approached, and the city needed its defenders. Ethan rose to his feet, feeling stronger and braver than ever. He led groups of soldiers into battle, using strategy and quick thinking to outmaneuver the enemy. He was no longer just a boy from Earth. He was a leader, a warrior, and a hero. Hours turned into night. The battlefield was lit by fires and the glow of alien weapons. Ethan moved tirelessly, fighting, protecting, and inspiring others. He saw Lena fighting nearby, her blade a blur as she struck down enemy after enemy. He knew she was proud of him, but he did not look to her for approval. He had proven himself already. Finally, the enemy began to retreat. Their machines were destroyed, their soldiers scattered, and their morale broken. The city was safe, thanks to the combined efforts of humans and Elithar soldiers, led by Ethan and Lena. Ethan sank to the ground, exhausted but victorious. Lena approached him, her silver hair glowing faintly in the firelight. She knelt beside him and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You did it," she said softly. "You led, you fought, and you inspired. You are no longer just a human. You are part of this empire, part of this fight, and part of something greater. You have proven yourself." Ethan looked at her, feeling a mix of pride, relief, and exhaustion. I couldn't have done it without you," he said. Lena shook her head. "No. You did it because of who you are. Your courage, your heart, your determination, that is what made the difference. I only guided you. You chose to rise." Ethan smiled faintly. For the first time, he felt truly accomplished. He had faced fear, chaos, and impossible odds, and he had survived. He had grown from a boy running through a battlefield to a warrior capable of leading armies and inspiring hope. The next morning, the palace held a ceremony to honor the heroes of the battle. Humans and Elithar soldiers stood together, celebrating the victory. Ethan was at the center, standing beside Lena. The princess stepped forward, her eyes shining. "This young human," she said, pointing to Ethan, "has shown courage, determination, and heart beyond what anyone could imagine. He has fought alongside us, protected our people, and proven that humans are stronger than many believe. I am proud to stand beside him." The soldiers cheered. Ethan felt a strange mix of pride and humility. He had done his best, but he had not done it alone. He had learned from Lena, from the Elithar soldiers, and from the courage within himself. After the ceremony, Lena led Ethan to a quiet balcony. The city was peaceful now, the fires gone and the lights of Elithar shining brightly. "You have come far," Lena said softly. From the moment I pointed at you on the battlefield, I knew you were different. You have proven yourself, Ethan Cole. And you have changed the way humans are seen in this empire. They will respect you, and they will follow you." Ethan looked at her, feeling a warmth in his chest. "I never thought I could be like this, strong, brave, important, but with your guidance, I did it." Lena smiled faintly. "You did it because of who you are. You are human, yes, but you are also a warrior, a leader, and someone who refuses to break. That is why I chose you, and that is why the universe will remember you." Ethan felt a sense of peace he had never known. He had faced battles, rebellion, and impossible odds. He had survived. He had grown. And he had proven that even a human, small and inexperienced, could change the fate of a planet and an empire. As the night fell over the city, Ethan and Lena stood side by side, looking out at the lights of Elithar. The battle was over, but the future was still uncertain. Yet Ethan felt ready for whatever came next. He was no longer just a boy from Earth. He was Ethan Cole, chosen by an alien princess, a warrior, and a hero. And with Lena by his side, he knew he could face anything. The Elithar Empire was safe for now. And a human had proven that even in a galaxy of powerful aliens, courage, heart, and determination could change the world. Ethan smiled. He had come far, but his journey was only beginning, and he was ready for it.